Now let's take a look at the filter. We've got a low pass, band pass, high pass, and all pass, which basically bypasses the filter section here. And to help understand this patch, we've got 808 samples on voice 1, and this knob is selecting what voices we've got here. And if we go here to the cutoff frequency, we see the cutoff frequency is 88 Hertz. Our modulation source is CV1 coming in here, and that's going to be the key CV coming from our sequencer. We've got the modulation amount turned all the way up because we can just turn down this CV attenuator to control the filter cutoff. Now if we wanted to, we could instead, since knob 2 is not really doing anything in this patch, we could say CV1 plus knob 2 right here. So now knob 2 will get added to this value, and let's see, our modulation amount is all the way up. So let's go ahead and play our sound, and we'll turn this all the way down. So there we've got a snare drum happening. We can't hear it because the filter cutoff's turned all the way down. We'll turn it up. Okay, so this is just a manual filter cutoff control, and this is animating that filter cutoff with the external CV, and then we can offset that as well. So at higher settings, this is having no effect, but the filter stays bright. We turn it down. Now we hear movement in the filter. And let's go ahead and select a different filter type. So here we've got the band pass. Let's go ahead and try the high pass. Or animate that movement a little bit. Now in the high pass, we might want to bring our cutoff frequency down just a little bit more. And we could try selecting different samples. So again, we're on the high pass. Let's go ahead and try a different filter type. So here's our band pass. I'll speed up our sequencer a little bit. And let's try a low pass. Let's try a different sound. So we can make that as subtle as we like or as wide a range. And let's try a different filter type here on these hi-hats. Alright, so that gives you a good idea of what you can do with the filter. Maybe we should try a different source. Let's go ahead and try, instead of CV1, let's do randomize. And we'll turn this down here. So now, random is being added to this CV value. That's not very useful. So instead, why don't we say random controlled by the level of K2. And we may want to adjust our filter cutoff frequency to bring it more up into the range of the hi-hat here. Let's go ahead and set the low end of that range. So now every time we get a new trigger input, our random function is selecting a new cutoff frequency for us, and this is determining the overall amount that that can span. And let's try a different filter type here. Low pass, band pass, high pass. Use the dynamics section in conjunction with the filter to really create more movement in that sound. Right now we've got CV2 set up. Let's go ahead and set both of our ranges high. And now low. So that's going to be a more natural response because as we hit it harder, We want the filter to become brighter and the sound to become louder. The other thing we can do is we go to the dynamic section here. If we wanted to, we could just say knob number 2 is controlling our dynamics here. So we could say turn this all the way off. So now this becomes a volume knob. And plus, if we remember here, our filter amount is random, controlled by knob 2. So when we do this, it not only turns it down, but it turns down our modulation for the filter too. We could select, let's say we want to offset CV1 plus knob 2. We'll turn this up. So now this CV is moving our filter cutoff. This is offsetting it, plus having control over the overall level of the sound. And we can select a different sound here. So lots of things you can try with the filter. It gets very interactive with some of these other modulations, but be sure to try out all the different modulation sources here. There's a lot of things you could do with that. For instance, we could say CV2, which is our logic signal coming in here. Now let's go ahead and adjust the filter. Oops, go back here. We could try a different filter type. Now there, our modulation is going a little too high. We could bring that down. And that's the filter.